Hey guys, I'm back. Same hat, closed for August, but of course I'm still working because this show never really stops. The team never stops. But the sentiment remains closed for August. I'll be back again next week, and but I did want to actually get to this live a little earlier than usual. I know I'm a little more casual in my camo. But yeah, I wanted to get to the live a little earlier this week. Lots of news today. And I have a big piece that I just put out on Substack about what Epstein's bodyguard, Igor Zinoviev, said about his CIA connections. And I also just go into all of my reporting on this and how the CIA for the past month has refused to tell me if Epstein's bodyguard was at Langley headquarters getting a notebook for Epstein. It should be in the files. I also talked to a former CIA agent who would explain Epstein's usefulness to the agency. It's a deep dive. It took me over a month to do it. So I'm going to drop it in the conversation for all of you. As you know, I'm an independent journalist. A lot of these stories don't always get picked up by the mainstream media, but I'm using the same rigorous reporting that I've used over the past 15, 16 years as a reporter. It's just that I don't have to have, editors anymore telling me what is going to be published and what's not due to political reasons at the top. I'm an independent journalist. I go wherever the story leads me, and this is one of those examples. So I just dropped it in there. Thank you for everyone who is here. So I'm going to go through some of your questions. I know we have a half hour. I like to keep my lives to a half hour, and this one's a little bit later. Thanks for coming, Clementine. Always a regular. Thanks, Justice AZ, killing it. All right. We need photos of Epstein with Trump that have not been seen before. Yeah, we'll see if we ever get those out. What does the symbol in the right of my handle mean? I don't know, actually. Maybe you were the second person to join. Tara P., after watching your interview with Cohen, I did some digging and found the name of the lawyers of the original filing, both sides by the comment seemed to be gone. I hope you were able to. Okay, yeah. So Jane Doe, I had this pretty shocking interview with Michael Cohen, where he finally admitted that he worked on a case involving Epstein and Trump before the 2016 election. He called it an infant, the girl, and he said that that he didn't remember the lawyers, but it wasn't Lisa Bloom. Well, she had 3 lawyers: Thomas Meagher, this man with the last name Cheney, and then Lisa Bloom. And the lawyers for Trump were not named on the documents, although it seems that Harold says that he saw the lawyers for Trump on the documents. I did not see them. Okay. Jean says, I thought you were on vacation. Well, kind of, but not really. I'm always working, Jean, but I am going to try from the 20th to the 27th to go on vacation, although I have some videos that I've been working on and some pieces that I'll put out in the meantime. You know how it is with work. You have to kind of work to go off. But thanks for noticing. But I appreciate that you thought that. And thank you, Cyberweeze, for your support. I'm going to get back to this. Thoughts on how money laundering fits into the equation? Is it possible that this was what originally drew Trump and others to Epstein and sex trafficking became the leverage? Yes, of course. I mean, I think Epstein's financial crimes were that he laundered money. I think he took investments. He put them in foreign funds that were hard to access. I think he was a criminal, and through, whatever he could do, he was a criminal. Money laundering is just one piece of this. Okay. Thank you. BB says, your Cohen interview was difficult to watch. I watched Ron Midas a lot, and the energy he had with you was sharp. Yeah, no, he was definitely defensive. So I found something since that interview with Michael Cohen, and it was really shocking for me. And it was more reporting from Ronan Farrow, a great journalist who had been doing the stories about the catch and kills. And in his reporting, he found that Cohen also tried to do a catch and kill with an Epstein story in later after the election. Okay, so I'm going to this is I'll drop that one in the feed for you guys to read as well. This was pretty illuminating to me. I don't know if it was two cases, the same one. I'm still digging in, but if you guys have any leads, I'm always so impressed, by the way, with this community and people who send me the information that they get and how I'm able to, confirm it. Some of it I can or can't, but that was really illuminating to me. I mean, were there two cases? Was it just one? Or were there two women that he dealt with? And was one of them, did he do a catch and kill? No, Sam Eam, excuse me. In your opinion, what wine or beverage goes best with lasagna? I prefer red wine. I probably prefer that with lasagna. A red with red, right? That's usually how it works. And I think white wine usually is best with seafood. Whites with whites, red with red. I don't mind a random question or two like that. Appreciate that. You don't have to call me Princess Tara, although I appreciate that. No one's called me that in a long time. Let's see. What else? Hey, yay, independence. Yeah, yay, Joe. Yeah, you get it. It's good to not work for the man. Can't wait for you to cover stories that don't truly suck. No, I agree. It's really interesting. So I was seeing friends I hadn't seen in a long time, and they were like, Tara, you've really been on the Epstein story for a while. And I was like, I know, but one of them said, they're like, this is like the Watergate of our time. It is such a massive amount of corruption. So it's kind of hard to get away from it. And also like these sham hearings that we're seeing, James Comer, this Republican, is calling, a number of former Trump officials like Bill Barr who came forward. And because it's behind closed doors, we don't know what's happening. All we know is politicians are coming forward. Some Republicans are saying, wow, this is illuminating. We heard things we never heard before. And it was great. You have Democrats coming forward saying, I'm more confused than ever. Why don't we just let them come forward and let the American people decide and listen and see for themselves? And also the American people can decide if the questions that are being asked are appropriate. I also really believe that Alex Acosta, who was the U.S. attorney at the time in Florida, absolutely needs to be called to the stand. And so does his number two, Marie Villafana. The prosecutor was on the case because she worked so hard on this. She spent over a year working on the case, recommended 60 federal charges. They were dropped to 0, and they said that she was in over her skis. Also, Acosta met with Epstein's lawyers secretly 90 miles off campus. Like, what was that all about? That would be one of my first questions. What was that meeting all about, Alex Costa? If I got to be in the room and really grilling these members, really grilling people. And Alex Acosta would know. He worked on the case. He was the one who decided to drop it and make it a state case. Sam Eam, wait, you spoke with an agent or an operative? Big diff. What are you talking about, Sam? I'm confused. Well, let's keep going with this. You keep it up, girl. You're keeping the files live. Thanks. Yeah, I think it's interesting that they're starting to pass the files over. They claim to Congress. They said they're going to start making them public. The thing is, like, we just want all of them. Like, when you pick and choose, that's when there is a corruption. I mean, that's when there is a feeling of, well, what do we know and what don't we know? Why are some things being redacted and why aren't things being redacted? So I think a full disclosure is necessary and warranted. Protect the victims, remove their names, but the rest of it, I mean, I think it needs to be exposed and revealed. And it's clear that, the Trump administration has already pushed the deadline back. It was supposed to be today to send some of these files over. And now they pushed it to Friday. It feels like they're just kicking it down the can. If you want to read more about Virginia's story, where would be a good place to start? Honestly, I know I promoted a lot, but my Broken Jeffrey Epstein podcast, if you start with season 2, The Enablers, like I travel with Virginia and we really go into her story. We really talk a lot about it. And I think it would be helpful for you to hear her voice and the sincerity and the clarity in which she speaks and how consistent she was. I was really impressed with her. I really was. I think people attack and malign her all the time and try to make her seem like some deranged woman. I mean, she had been through so much in her life, and I was so impressed with her composure. Okay. Do you know any survivors who were victimized by Trump? I don't personally know any survivors who were victimized by Trump. It would be very difficult for them to be brave enough to come forward. There are obviously the cases that we've spoken about that have come forward. The Katie Johnson case, that one. I mean, she dropped it due to intimidation, but and there may have been another one, but I don't know. And to come forward right now would be hugely risky. I mean, like, look, he just sued the Wall Street Journal for reporting on a card that he gave Epstein for his 50th birthday. They're suing them for $100 billion and trying to get Rupert Murdoch to get on the stand. It's extremely risky. Like, you are flying so close to the sun, especially in this time of lawfare. So it's a scary time. Thanks, Connie Glemby, for your support. Appreciate it. Do you know if Senator Wyden is still following the money trail? I don't know that yet, but it sounds like he is. Why would he give that up? I think it's just hard for Democrats when they're not in power they don't really have subpoena power. They have very limited power when they are not controlling the House or Senate. How can we give you leads? What's the best email? It's tarapalmeriinfo@gmail.com. Please send the leads there. You guys have been really helpful. I read them. I do. I don't get to respond to all of them because I have crazy days and I'm trying to follow up on a lot of the reporting, but I appreciate it. Bill Barr's father's connection to Epstein goes all the way back to Dalton, where Epstein was a math teacher. Yep, that was his start, math teacher. This was not some sophisticated financier. Cabernet Sauvignon, agree, Clementine. I do love a good cab. I love alcohol. I'm joking. I love wine from France, from Bordeaux region. Yeah. Okay. Italian wine's great too. Did you talk to NT lawyer? I had reached out to Lisa Bloom, Thomas Meager. I reached out to Katie Johnson's former lawyers, and they all said they're not working on the case anymore. Do you believe the DOJ is going to release anything substantial that we don't already know on Friday? 0. No, I do not think so. But it does remind me that I should probably pack my equipment in case they do. Because I do want to go away. I want to go to the beach. I'm planning to go to a friend's house at the beach. So if I can go to the beach, that would be pretty epic. I am going, but I guess I'll bring my equipment. Damn it. But yeah, because I'm sure what they're going to do, like they did around July 4th, if they drop something substantial or do something really shady, it's going to be around the holidays, when journalists and people like ourselves are trying to disconnect, because that's when you can get away with things, right? Right. Denisa H. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, I am in touch with the survivors. We text every single day. They are, it's hard for them. I'm incredibly impressed by how brave they've been and how they put themselves out there in the media almost every single day, trying to keep the story alive. It takes an astounding amount of courage. They continue to send me leads and information. They very much want to be involved in the story of their own justice. So I am always in awe of them. And their survivor sister community. We're always on like a chat chain, and they share each other's appearances, and yeah, it's special. They do it for each other. Yeah. The Midas chat was also very interested in explanation until the mods deleted all of our comments from thereafter. Yeah, Midas Touch. I welcome the Midas Touch network to have me on to talk about the interview. Why not? I think it's fair. I mean, listen, if you're going to be in this independent information age, we can't be playing for sides. I know that Michael works for them, but like, it's a good opportunity for them to challenge their own, I guess, their own partner and see what he knows. I mean, for justice sake, right? This is what we all want. You can't pick and choose. Mark Burnett needs to be questioned. He might know. I mean, yeah, I think question everybody. Why not? If you have subpoena power, use it widely. Don't limit it. You were in live chats. Kelsey says that she was in live chats in the Midas Touch trying to post the Tara and Cohen interview, and they deleted it. Yeah, suppression is not cool. Guys, we're better than that. The independent community should not be suppressing. I don't love that. Interesting. Happy to be on Midas. You can tell them that. What will be the next Epstein breakout story? I fear the next Epstein breakout story will be the story of Ghislaine Maxwell being released from prison, house arrest, work release. Like, that's my fear. Or my fear is that they're going to say, okay, that was a great hearing. We handed over the files we needed to. Case closed. Yeah. Thanks, Jacob. I really do want to try to wait till September to hold feet to the fire. I'm going to have to check in next week. I know that. I will check in next week for a live. And there will be content. It might be like content that I posted from another time, but like I'll still be posting content to the page. My team helps with that. Eric, my producer, handles a lot of that. We've been making content so I can go away. Like a lot of you often have to work a lot to go away. How much do I think Trump is involved in the Epstein file? Well, enough that he's not putting it out, right? I don't know for a fact, but I know, like, all I can see is the redactions like you can, right? And I told you that I've never interviewed thank you for the support, Greg. I've never interviewed a victim directly, but like, just make it public, then we'll know. I know the survivors don't want to be traumatized again, but they must talk because they have daughters. A lot of them have talked. It's terrifying. They do talk. Actually, like the ones who've been really, really, really traumatized, they are the really, really young ones. Like they don't talk at all. It is really, really, really hard for them. I mean, even as a journalist, and I'm sure even for you, it must be difficult for you to be in this space too. It's not only angering the injustice, but like, if you really think about it, I mean, I feel this way at least. Like at night, I'm just like, trying to go to sleep. If it comes into your brain, it's disturbing. And could you imagine? Like I know. And think about this. It's been how many decades of them being let down, speaking out and being let down? I don't know. I understand why they're careful. I agree. Independent media is the only way to go with this story. Like I'm just like in shock that no one has covered the Cohen admission. Like I'm in shock that like I put out that thing about about what his bodyguard said and how the CIA won't get back to me about the visit. No one's really covering it. Just like, why is no one covering this? It's because they're afraid. They're afraid. They are afraid. Have I gotten in touch with CoffeeZilla? I haven't yet. I'm sorry, I haven't tried yet. I've just been so busy with my own reporting, but I will try. Um, I will. I know. In September, I do have a lot of things coming up in September, like actual like work travel. Again, people start doing, summits, events, stuff like that I have to go to, but I'm gonna try. I haven't, you're asking about fellow journalists who I rely on for updates and leads. Like, I actually haven't been able to look at what my fellow journalists have been doing lately, just because I've been so um kind of in this space. And I know it's not a great excuse, but um I've been so in it that I like have almost to the point of blocking out other news because you can't like there's just only so much bandwidth a human being has. I wish I had a team of like researchers that were working on this all the time for me, and then I could have more bandwidth to cover everything, but like this is a single person network. Um so, you know, I think it is going to be good for me to put my brain on ice for about a week if I can, hopefully. Come back stronger than ever. Even this weekend I kind of chilled out and I felt even better on Monday. Um so yeah, I think everybody, all of us need to remember that breaks are good. It's hard because when we want to take a break, that's when they want to slip things under the rug. Jim Acosta has Jim Acosta hasn't had Cohen on his show since he went on MSNBC and defended Trump. I think Jim Acosta is a real journalist, and he knows that like there's something fishy there, right? Jim knows like that doesn't check out. And if I recall correctly, Jim asked Michael pretty early on, Michael, did you have anything to do with Trump and some of these Epstein allegations? And he denied it. So I'm sure Jim is not happy about that. Like as journalists, we do not like to be lied to. Any thoughts on Michael Tracy? That guy was obviously trying to set me up to say something nasty about Virginia, which I just was not having. I think he misses the point about what these girls have gone through. Maybe Cohen's character was revealed and how he was frothing at the mouth at basic follow-up questions. Yeah, I think I was asking really simple questions, and the way you react is often the most revealing, right, than the actual answer. Vivi says, if you need an assistant, let us know. Thank you. It's really good to know. I've been so I have been so thankful, to people who send me tips and leads and all sorts of stuff all the time. Of course, I have to then report it myself too, make sure, I can stand it up so that you guys can trust and believe it. But I have been so impressed by your tips and your leads and your investigative skills. So thank you for that. I think it does give the survivors hope, Katie. You asked if that it hasn't gone away in a month. I do think so. I think they appreciate that. Yeah, it is true sincerity that the scariest part of this ring is that it does involve the wealthiest people. That's the scary part because they can use lawfare to shut people like me and others up. And that is the world we live in right now. We live in a time of lawfare where the wealthy can get away with things because of their money. They can just hire lawyers and that's it. Thanks, Stan. I never saw the Clippy movement. Did I miss that? Costadin. Sorry, I said your name wrong. Will you interview Marjorie Taylor Greene? That's a good question. I have been asked that before, Andres. I should ask. I mean, she just went on the Megyn Kelly show. I feel like I think she's a good person to interview. I got someone recommended her, someone on my team actually passed along contact info for people on her team. Yeah, I mean, if she's truly an independent and believes in this story, then she should want to do an interview. I think she stands apart. I think it'll go a long way, excuse me, in terms of her her credibility if she sticks with this, and even if it means bucking the administration, because I think the administration is going to be on the wrong side of history with this one. Kurt Winman, who does your fact checking? I do it. Yeah. Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't independent. No, she is not an independent, but she's breaking from the administration by demanding more on from the Epstein story. Whereas like everyone else is sort of like going along, they're just keeping their mouths shut. But when Trump said it was over, they're like, okay, it's over. But she's at least still, she is not, an independent. No. I'm sorry if that came off the wrong way, but guys, I gotta admit, it's kind of late here. It's 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. What stories, events inspired you to do the kind of journalism you do? So when I was in high school, we learned about the muckrakers, and they're Upton Sinclair, Nellie Bly, these journalists at the turn of the century, and how their journalism, often yellow journalism in New York City, changed the way that the working class people lived. And they wrote about it through a populist lens, but Nellie Bly went undercover in the insane asylums and showed the way that these people were treated. They risked their lives to expose deep corruption. They sometimes did it in a yellow journalism. Joseph Pulitzer, after all, the Pulitzer Prize was accused of yellow journalism. They also helped clean up the meatpacking industry that was stuffing toxins into sausages that people were eating. They cleaned up the garment industry where there were fires and inhumane conditions. They helped clean up other factories, and they kept, workers that were often immigrant workers safer, and they cleaned up the cities. They held the robber barons accountable. And that was what inspired me. I was like, wow, these journalists had the power through their investigative skills, through their reporting, to make change and to hold power to account through the pen. And that was what made me want to become a journalist. And I remember talking to my history teacher in high school about that, because I didn't know journalists where I grew up in New Jersey. It was kind of mostly working class, neighborhood. I would have been the first person in my family to go to college. And I asked my teacher, like, how do I become a journalist? What do I do? And he said he had a friend who was actually his student, who went on to work at CNN. And he said that to touch base with him when I was in college. And if I still wanted to be a journalist, he would see what he could do. And he actually called that person. And he was no longer at CNN. He actually rose up to be the bureau chief because he was an older guy at that point. But he was at the Voice of America, and he hired me to be an unpaid intern. The Voice of America, which obviously no longer exists. President Trump has shut it down. That was one of my first internships in college, and one of my first journalism experiences too. And it kind of all worked out from there. And so, yes, that is what motivated me. So truth to power. And here, if this isn't one of the biggest corruption stories of all time, maybe it's all kind of full circle, right? Can you set a reminder to reach out to CoffeeZilla in early September? Winston Smith says, yes, I will. Did Epstein really die? The whole thing is wishy-washy. I think about it too, but I do think he's dead. It's just a matter of, did he kill himself or was he killed? Why don't we have the tapes? Bill Barr doesn't think it's weird, and now we're supposed to trust him as a source. The Attorney General doesn't think it's weird that we don't have tapes. Thanks, Scott, for saying he sees a Pulitzer in my future. It's weird because I work in independent media. Do they give Pulitzers out? No. But, a good editor once told me, don't ever report for the prize. And I think he's right. You don't report for the prize. Report for the truth. And it's true. Some of the best journalists I've met in my life have not gotten Pulitzers or any awards at all. And I don't think award winning is the goal. Like, I think life changing for the people is the goal. So, yeah. All right. Thanks for the good night. I hope you all have a good night too. I hope this all moves forward, but hopefully not while I'm away. I will be putting up that video soon about Epstein's bodyguard, but check out my piece in the meantime and about his CIA connections and his intelligence circles and the KGB kind of operation and how the CIA isn't responding to me. I'll keep you posted if anything changes in the meantime. I'll do another live next week, probably Thursday. And I'll keep you posted. I'll pack some equipment. Be well.